Hello and welcome to the show. This week's FailRace versus the community, we would go racing with some C-Class Fiats. We weren't counting a bath in this one, so it is a selection of classic Fiat sports cars, if you like. The first race taking place at the Hockenheim short circuit, a track that always tends to produce some spectacular racing when it comes to these lower classes of vehicles. The red 124 we are following here, not quite got the straight line speed of that 8V. That 8V has an awful lot of straight line speed, although as we come up towards this next corner, the 8V struggling to get the car stopped, to get the car turned. The 124 is going to make the most of that opportunity. Is also going to get a further 2 cars as he gets himself to the inside. 3 cars in kind of 1 and a bit corners is pretty damn good going as the next 9 goes for a little bit of explore on the outside at the hairpin. Car we're following tries to squeeze up the inside of Adino, can't quite get that position. A little bit of a bump between the pair of them, both come out the other side, no problem as we round the final corner, or final couple of corners. Not really too much space to get an overtake done at this particular moment in time, and then the run down towards turn 1. The 124 is close, but not quite close enough to he thinks about it. You kind of see the nose stuck out a little bit to see if he could do anything, but yeah, it's a very difficult place to get passes done. I had tried to build an 8V, never had much success. I built one good 8V, and during the versus community session that we were filming at the time, my game crashed, and that was the point I lost all my saved data on Forza 6. So I wanted to have another crack at trying to build a successful one. Why is my car not running my normal paint? Well, I thought I had saved it, and apparently I hadn't. So when I loaded up the lobby, yeah, my car was still in the red paint. So yeah, that's it, unfortunately. We're busy going 3-1. I'd started a long way down the order on the random grid, was trying my best to make my way up through the field, making the most of opportunities that arose, would get past the white 8V. A couple of Dinos further back were having a big fight for position. Kind of helps me as well, the more that they're fighting, I can kind of scarper away from this little group. In terms of making a working 8V though, things were going better. In general, the 8Vs were working better. There'd never been fast ones on Forza 6 for the various categories that we had run, but they were doing a lot better. This would actually become the fight for the lead. 8V trying to go around the outside of a Dino, not quite able to make that one work, and he's got to be very aware. The next 9 having a sniff around, trying to find a way to get an overtake done. Can't quite do it though at this point. The 8V gets a big wiggle, ends up having to go to the outside in trying to control that. They're 3 wide at the hairpin. Just about everyone comes out the other side. The X19 is the real victor in all of that, able to make a pass stick at the hairpin. He was then having a look, trying to find a way past the Dino, but couldn't quite do it there. This particular 8V was massively quick in a straight line. Around Hockenheim, though, that is not necessarily always helpful. While yes, there are a couple of straights that it will be useful on, there's a lot of tight, twisty sections in which a car like this is going to struggle. Sure enough, the 124 finds a way past the head around the final corner, very sideways for the orangey yellow car about that one, although straight line speed is so immense. It is immediately back ahead of the Dino, really struggles to get himself around turn 1, and I was catching up to join in with this group in my much more handling orientated 8V. Is forced, can't really get the car turned, stuck on the outside through that turn 2, but the Dino is not really able to get a pass completed there. Again, we have a small straight, and the gap that the 8V can pull on the cars around it made it a fairly difficult vehicle to get past. Back at the front, and still the X19 was busy having a look, trying to find any which way past the Dino that he could. It's a long way around the outside of the final couple of corners, and still the X19 is going to be so careful you don't end up running wide, putting a wheel in the sand. It will kill all of your momentum, and you will lose a lot of time. He must have been a few millimetres away, because in the end he can out-drag the Dino down towards the first corner, get the move done. There's still an 8V in a close proximity to that particular fight. In fact, I think the 8V might be, he's thinking about having it up the inside. The Dino in the end moves across to cover that one, and the X19 able to escape away. Behind me, there was quite the Dino battle going on. Again, we're 3 wide It's not even the opening lap anymore. This was many laps into the race, and still we were going 3 wide this time down the back straight. Yeah, the C-Class Fiats were proving an awful lot of fun. The blue, the primary blue car managed to come out of the front of this little group. The white and blue having a look, trying to find ways past, not quite able to. There's another 8V coming to join in this little squabble as well as we continue to almost try and go side by side. I moved up past the crazy power-hungry 8V in all of this with my slightly superior handling as we round the hairpin. The red car a little bit slow on the exit, although the 2 cars behind running wide, bouncing across some nasty curves. As I said, you know, this was a decent distance into the race, and still we continue to fight like this for positions. The 2 Dinos would also clear the monster straight line speed car and would then come hunting after me. While my 8V was pretty damn fast, it did have an issue, and that was it liked to go up onto 2 wheels. It liked to go up onto 2 wheels an awful lot if you saw the roll cage investigation. Yeah, it's a little bit on the scary side around a circuit like this with such nasty curbs. I was determined to fend off this Dino. I think for a little while I had about the same pace as some of the front-running cars, maybe not quite fast enough. They probably kept up with the group, but as soon as we started fighting like this, we dropped a fair way back from the vehicles ahead. I have to defend up into the penultimate corner. Can't leave any spaces there for the Dinos to try and sneak away past. Overall, we were fairly evenly matched in terms of straight-line speed and handling. Perhaps my 8V a little bit quicker down the straights, and the Dinos a little bit more controllable through the corners. I once again defend the inside, having had a big slide out of that final corner. Unfortunately for me, hit the inside curb way too hard to get my car launched up onto 2 wheels. Not what I wanted for carrying any momentum around turn 1. That would allow the blue car through. The red vehicle also has a big dive up the inside, but in doing so takes a fairly tight line through that second corner, makes them slow on the exit, and I will use the straight line speed of my 8V to get back past, but it was an only just. We're having an incredible battle back there towards the front of the field, and the leader in the X19 would check out from this battle, able to pull a margin over these guys as they continued to fight for second place. The blue 124 had caught up to this group, fought his way past the 8V, but was having trouble trying to get past the Dino as they run down the back straight side by side. The Dino with perhaps a little bit more straight line speed. The 124 not quite able to make it stick around the outside. And Dino is all sorts of crossed up. There's a little bit of a concertina effect going on through that next corner. Still the 124 unable to find a way past. The hairpin, probably your best final opportunity here to have a dive, but it's not close enough to get anything done. Now, my personal favourite overtaking spot on this track is into the penultimate corner, that second to last corner. Have a big dive up the inside, and the 124 thinks about it. He tries to squeeze the car up the inside. There's just no space to quite make that one stick, as he's still just about able to get the nose up alongside. The drag race towards the line, though, would go the way of the Dino, while the X19 would take victory. The Dino second, 124 in third, and that 8V with fourth place. So there we have our podium. Impega winning with the X19, Regliska in the Dino in second, while Stig Power would get the 124 into third. Race number 2, and we would head to Lime Rock with a fantastically glitchy race start. For whatever reason, a number of cars at the front of the grid were, well, the game held them for whatever reason. Everybody did a pretty damn good job of avoiding the mayhem that would go on at the front. Yeah, it's a real problem. We have cars getting launched early from races. We have cars getting stuck on the grid. I think if your car gets stuck on the grid, you tend to have no sound as well, or no game sound. So yeah, that's not ideal situation for the poor cars that are caught up in all of that. A couple of vehicles went escaping their way across the grass. I think in the background, a 124 smacked the tyre bundle. Very easy to do around this circuit. The particular 124 that we are following managed to just about make a move. Very, very high-speed corner. To be fair, around this Lime Rock circuit, there are no real easy overtaking opportunities. This is a very fast track. Braking zones are minimal, especially in cars like these, in C-Class cars, where you are going to be running an awful lot of the the race, and maybe not quite flat out, but you're going to be carrying a lot of corner speed through there. Minimal amounts of braking. The red 124 has got more in the way of straight line speed into this turn 1 that is going to be your best of the overtaking opportunities. He managed to get the car past and just about keeps hold of the position in slowing up the orange car. Another vehicle has a sniff at the inside, couldn't quite make it work. The orange car, though, would fire back up the inside and reclaim that place. Further back, well, 3 wide into the final corner is not a particularly fun experience for the poor car stuck on the outside, and sure enough, the Dino would run out of grip out there. The car that had the best run, the green X19, carries a lot of momentum down this start-finish straight, but struggling in terms of straight line speed as we head around this first quarter. Still they go side by side. It's a long way around the outside of that turn 1, and in the end the white, black and red 124 unable to hold on to that position. A great overtake from the white car that we were following while somebody else spins off the tyre bundle. That tyre bundle does claim many a victim, or can claim many a victim, around this particular circuit as we rise over the crest. I mean, this still sort of lead group and back was fairly close, fairly in line. The lead 2, however, were miles clear at the front, while everybody else from third backwards were busy fighting. These two had pulled a huge lead, although the red 124 got a little bit brave around the outside of the final corner, gets away with a brush along the tyre bundle. That could go an awful lot worse for him. Would recover, but had a fair amount of work to do to try and catch back up to that purple lead car. This was the battle for third place, I believe. The red 124 tried to fend off a Dino, but it was this white 124 with much of the speed as they head down towards the first corner. Not quite going to be close enough to have a big dive up the inside here, but the third place car gets it wrong. Is a little bit wide, is a little bit sideways, ends up slowing down the Dino. The Dino gets a little bit boxed in and trapped on that inside line, so the white car able to make up one of those places. There's just about room to squeeze a 124 into that. Is around the outside. That's a really tricky place to make a pass work around the outside. The red car struggling so much for grip through there that couldn't really do too much to fend off the vehicle, but you always run that risk if you go around the outside. The car on the inside gets a little bit of understeer, gets things wrong, can easily fire you straight into the tyre bundle, but yeah, good driving from everybody. My vehicle not quite so suited to Lime Rock. I was there or thereabouts in terms of pace, but not quite quick enough to catch the group ahead. I was quick enough to kind of go with it, but couldn't make much ground in catching it. The orange 124 was involved with a shunt, dropped back, and would end up trying to find a way back past me. And despite my very best efforts through these first quarters, I was able to carry good quarter speed, able to keep it side by side. 124 just that bit faster on the old acceleration front, that in the end I would have to yield the position. Also, my 8V was making a lot of fire. Not quite sure why, but there was an awful lot of fire going on from the back of my car. This big old group would now start fighting over fourth place, and I mean big group of cars. Again, this would go on for a number of laps. The Dino still trying to find his way past the 124. Couldn't do it. Another 124 was coming to join in. The two of them get together. It's 3 wide as a couple of cars further back go for some exploring across the grass. Still, they squabble their way up towards the next corner. Everybody able to just about sort themselves out of a little touch between the two 124s. Things very nearly get sideways. It's the X19 that's trying to make up the best of the best of the situation, gets a couple of positions in all of that, or just about a couple of positions, because the Dino's got his nose alongside for the final quarter, although they think better about going too wide through there. In fact, the X19 had a mega run around the final turn, but has not got the straight line speed to do anything about the car ahead, and in fact is a sitting duck for that Dino by the time they get down towards turn 1. You can see the green car wanting to turn in, but just can't take the line that he is wanting, although has got so much grip through that corner. Yeah, when you build a car for C-Class, There's going to be compromises go on. Some of the cars here are going to be very, very fast in a straight line, going to have an awful lot of power. Some of them are going to be more grip orientated, and in the case of that X19, an awful lot of grip, but is lacking when it comes to any of these short straights. At the front of the race, despite an earlier off, the red 124 was able to catch back up to the leader, this time going for the more sensible option. If you're going to go for a pass into the final corner, up the inside is definitely where you want to be. The X19 goes for the cutback on the exit. If he had enough straight line speed and more straight line speed, he might be able to have got that one working. You can see the size of the gap these guys had over third place. It's a big look up the inside into turn one, and the 124 does give him space down there, but the X19 not really able to make the most of that opportunity. Again, we head through these next corners. The purple car can carry an awful lot of corner speed. He can draw up alongside that 124, but it's not quite enough to get the pass complete, running very, very close to the edge of the road. As I said before, numerous cars have got off there. It's so easy when you push a little bit too hard to bounce across that curb, get your car suckered onto the grass and out into the tyre bundle, but that is how it would stay at the front, with the 124 taking victory. The X19 going for a trip across the grass. Third place was catching these guys. I think the third place car did have fastest lap in the end. Yeah, was starting to catch these cars, but they had such a huge lead from early on as the fights further back were on the rather massive side, quite frankly. And yeah, they were just far too far gone when it came to it. This group further back continued to squabble for, well, the remainder of the race. In the end, the Dino managing to break away a little bit at the front of the train. The green X19 still looking for any opportunity he could have. It was the speed through the corners that the green car could take. Much like the purple car that ended up coming second was very, very impressive, but in the end the lack of straight line speed was a little bit too much. He had to go at the inside into the final corner. I don't know if he hit the curb or got squeezed a little bit onto the curb. Either way, lost the back end, couldn't do anything about making any progress, but yeah, the fight from fourth back was at one point, I think about 4th to 12th were covered by, were in a train. Unfortunately for me, another crash would go on ahead that I'd get stuck in trying to avoid and end up bouncing my way across the grass that would drop me a fair way back. Either way, it would be Raging Red Rabbit that would take victory with that 124. Stevie with the X19 in second, and F1 Kieran with another 124 in third. And final race, and we would head to the Silverstone National Circuit. Slightly drizzly conditions to start the race here, but with percentage chance of things lightening up and a drying track later on in the race. There was, I think, a little bit of a laggy shunt further back. We didn't have any big kind of early releases or late releases from any of the vehicles in this particular one, as one of the first big braking zone. Everybody concertinaing up, but in general doing a relatively good job of not getting into a massive trouble as we now head down the next back straight. This circuit, you're going to want acceleration. You're going to want a decent amount of power in your car, and sure enough, some of the 8Vs were very, very fast down the straight. This particular 124 as well that we're following here, quick car in terms of a straight line speed, as 3 and 4 wide on this opening lap. There is a lot of Fiats trying to fit into a relatively small piece of tarmac. Again on the exit of this corner, they're 3 wide as 8V sideways out across the curb, but manages to gather it all back up. They then try to go 4 wide down the start finish straight. In the end, the 8V decides that it's probably not a good idea doing that one. The car we're following has got so much straight line speed, able to make that pass stick as the two Dinos, I think, are side by side around turn one. When you've got cars so busy at this point in the race, you can see the 8V's got the acceleration out of turn one, but just doesn't have anywhere to go with it. It just can't make the most of his straight line speed. In fact, in all of the races today, I got stuck with a fairly lowly grid position, so I was trying to make the most of the opportunities that I did have. My 8V not massively fast in a straight line. The 124s were busy fighting their way at this point. The orange car trying his best to go around the outside. It's a big slide, and in the end you're not going to quite make that one work, but in doing that he's now cost himself a little bit of time. The X19 wants to get up the inside. I don't think quite orange car realised there was going to be a vehicle parked on his inside. The two of them get together, both get a bit sideways, lose 2 or 3 positions as more cars are now trying to pile on to this fight. I'm having to go defensive against a Dino up towards turn 1, but around the outside in these conditions are going to be a tough one to make stick. As another, I think it was one of the green 124's got a wheel on the grass, trying to brake and turn, and got carted off into the runoff area at turn 1. At the front of the field, it was 124's versus a Dino at this stage, with the white car here an awful lot of straight line speed. Again, you know, we've got differently built cars across all of these events, although having to try and go the long way around at the end of the kind of second straight, almost, and you can make that pass stick if you've got enough grip, is a tough one, and especially when you've got the power car and you're against considerably better handling vehicles, trying to go around the outside there is always likely to be rather tricky, with the red 124 up ahead, much faster at a straight line, blue car much better handling when it came to the corners. Speaking of straight line speed monsters, this particular white 8V was probably the fastest car here in terms of straight line speed. It was stupidly quick on the old acceleration front, as it seems. Breezes past the X19, although then puts a wheel on the grass and has a huge wobble, is able to gather it all back up. Also enjoy the joys of Forza replay camera interior views that are getting worse. Either way, couldn't gather, well, I say could, gathered it all back up, couldn't have gained a position from all of that. It doesn't matter, there's another straight coming up. That's such a huge amount of straight line speed. I mean, it would be a very easy car, especially in these wet conditions, to make a mistake. It got away with a big wobble through the Marriott and Beckett's section. You could have just quite as easily have ended up in a tyre bundle. You can see the size of the tyres compared to what is another straight line speed car, let alone compared to the ones I would have been running on my car. Yeah, it's not the easiest of vehicles to drive, but if you can keep it together, will be relatively fast. As you can see, the rain had ceased and the track was drying. I've actually dried relatively quickly in these later stages, riding on board with a 124 as he gets up the inside. Dino, trying to be as late on the brakes as he dares, just asks too much of his car and runs wide through at that corner. And a lot of the mid-pack were in kind of, again, once more, a fairly long train. You would find yourself in a battle of some sort, and that is always, you know, the measurement of a good race, of an exciting race, is if there's battles going on throughout the field, not just one group. I mean, the size of the group of cars. Once more, I found myself primarily at the back of these large group of cars, but yeah, they were making for some really exciting races. Much like I said last time when we had the Open B class. Yeah, class races on Forza, when we set up our own regulations, yeah, these are as entertaining as they always have been. It's a shame we don't have the proper lobbies for them for general multiplayer, but never mind. Let's not talk about that. Either way, Dino going wide at turn 1. A few cars went, of course, exploring around that particular very easy mistake to make here. The 124s were trying to find a way past in this little group. This is not the easiest of circuits to get overtakes on. I mean, your most likely passes are just simple out-drag the car that you are racing, with it being such a power circuit in some ways, with it being such a large number of long straights. The red 124 is trying to make his way around the outside. Again, as I said, if you can keep your car there, you will be on the inside for this very long turn, but he's not quite able to make that one stick. They've got an X19 coming to join in, trying to find a way past. A big slide out of that particular corner. Not going to help in getting past the Dino. This group of cars still fighting. This was heading up. I think it was heading onto the final lap. The orange 124 has a look up the inside. They all get a little bit squeezed, and 3 cars into one don't quite go. And then there's the purple X19 that comes off the worst of all of it. The big benefit from all of that was me, who makes up 3 places in 1 corner in the red 8V as I go flying past. Yeah, 3 cars into one does not fit at that particular circuit. Certainly not with the way that they were squeezing. Although, once more, yeah, they bumped, they came together. Everybody actually managed to recover the cars at a relatively quick manner, while they all lost places to me. They didn't actually sort of plummet down the order or lose any more positions than that. At the front, and it would remain status quo for the large part of the race. The red 124 just a little bit too fast to be able to do, or for second place to be able to do anything about it. The sort of yellowy orange 8V would make his way up into third as these guys would cross the line. Again, once the lead two got a little bit further away, didn't have to battle with traffic. It does make life a little bit easier. However, thankfully from all of this, that we can say that the 8V is considerably more useful when it comes to this sort of racing. Yeah, the 124s were probably the cars to have. The X19s could handle very well. The 124s, good at any circuit with any sorts of straights. It'd be EVR, Liam T that would take a victory. Stick Power in second place and Yo Defty with the 8V in third. Overall, an awful lot of fun. Overall, an awful lot of fun with these cars. My 8V, perhaps a little bit too much of an overall build. Worked very well at Hockenheim, had good pace at Hockenheim, struggled at Lime Rock. I just got stuck in no man's land at Lime Rock, not really able to catch the cars ahead. Certainly wasn't quick enough for Silverstone, but it was always likely to be the way when I built the car to try and to be a better handling vehicle, again, to be an overall car. I am very glad to say, though, that the 8Vs are a lot more useful in this game than they were in previous ones. And yeah, I might have only been fighting for, I think the highest I ever got to was around 6th or 7th in any of these races, often perhaps a little bit further down. It didn't really matter though, because I had an awful lot of fun throughout these races. And while, yeah, a couple of times leaders might escape away from the rest of the field, there tended to be sort of a couple of them that would break away. There was, yeah, an awful lot of good racing. An awful lot of good racing in these. However, that is going to be it for this week's Versus the Community. The next one is going to be held on Thursday, the 26th of October. We are going to go racing. We're going to be doing a single-make race with completely stock Porsche Cayman GT4s. If you want to sign up and take part in that event, you can go to our forums. There'll be a link in the description. Find the FailRace Versus the Community section, and you can sign up in there. However, that's going to be it from me. Thank you very much for watching, and until next time, goodbye.